It's our top 10 today. Pretty good at keeping a beat.
You're so in rhythm.
I'm pretty good at keeping a beat. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games
and
board gamey things.
Exactly. We're here today, my friends, with our top 10 board games of all time.
We did it.
You've been waiting for what feels like forever because this video is airing beginning of February, so it's not even like coming out in January. We've stretched it. We're like, you wanted it right away? Guess what? Too bad. We stretched it.
Stretched it.
Sometimes that's you just gotta stretch it.
Sometimes you gotta stretch it.
So today is our games number 10 to number 1. Objectively, the best games in the world, not even our opinion. And so if you have a different list, then I guess your list might be wrong. I mean, because ours is objective, right?
That's fair.
There's no disagreeing with that.
Even though your list is different than mine.
Yep. Well, mine's right.
Oh.
Yours is wrong. Yeah. Okay, so I think let's
That was sarcasm for all the people that are going to be like, eh.
They're our lists.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Okay, so Jeff, you started the 50, I started 40. You started 30, I started 20, so you start the 10.
Oh, there we go.
Hit us with it.
My number 10 favorite game of all time is a game I have not played this year. I don't know if it's a game I played last year.
What?
Because we don't own it. And I don't understand why, and that is Dune Imperium.
Okay. I was wondering if this was going to show up on your list.
Dune Imperium is a deck builder game with a slight combat-y component to it. You are basically bumping up a bunch of different affiliate tracks or like influence tracks for different like family houses and different things. But at its core, it is a deck builder based around the Dune universe. There is a bunch of Dune expansion content out now. I've still only played the base game.
Yeah, we've only played the base game.
And one, again, we don't own it. Probably a game we should go buy.
We just need to buy it. I just think it, we're collectors.
I'm assuming at this point I'll probably buy Dune Uprising.
Yeah.
But I think at this point everyone knows what Dune Imperium is. It gets thrown into the Arnak conversation. Even though that's kind of a joke at this point. I mean, they're completely different games and hit different notes, but Dune Imperium's one I love and will continue to be in this area.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It'd probably be higher if I'd played it more recently.
We need to play it again. It is not on my list because in the Dune Arnak conversation, I'm an Arnak girly for life. Faux life.
They're different games, though.
They're different games, totally, but I'm just saying in the conversation, this is where I stand.
Fair enough.
Okay, Jeff.
Gotcha.
Speaking of which, my number 10 game of all time is The Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Oh, shit. That's weird.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Lost Ruins of Arnak is a worker placement deck building game. I'm sure many people have heard of this game. I personally, I have loved Arnak since the first time that I played it. I am obsessed with the theme. It's very like Indiana Jones and, you're in the jungle and you're doing stuff. And I love it. And I don't know what it is. I think there was a conversation for a while where people were kind of like, if you just go up the research track, you're going to win. But I don't find that. I often win by going the Guardian route and defeating the monsters. So anyways, I think Arnak is great. I think that it's heavy enough, there's enough crunch there that I really enjoy it, but it's also not so heavy that I feel like it takes a lot out of you to play. I'm constantly playing this on BGA all the time. Jeff and I are now in the camp of when we play it in person, we only play with the Expedition Leaders expansion, because it adds asymmetrical player powers to the game and it gives it a little bit it just bumps it up a little bit more than it had been before, which I personally love. And I'm here for it. I love Arnak. I can't see this falling off my top 50.
I have been playing also a lot of Arnak recently on BGA, and this game has also kind of, I don't want to say skyrocketed. This is not in my top 50, but I appreciate this game way more now. I do think it's one that benefits from multiple plays. I was kind of lukewarm on it to start, but now that I've played it a ton, it is very good. And the Hidden Leaders, in my opinion, is at this point, I think, fundamental
necessary
to the game.
And we did actually physically get it to the table again recently, and it's just like, yep, still great. So good. I really want to try the new expansion that turns it into like a campaign.
Yeah.
So
I think that'd be cool. And I also was one of those big proponents of like, oh, you just bump up the track and you win. But like,
but I've never won.
I think early on that was the key strategy that we're doing. But now like the deck building points off of building your deck up, I've seen people score a ton of points just from building their deck. My number 9 has already been mentioned on Jamie's top 50 list in a prior video. My number 9 is from Leader Games, and that is Vast Crystal Caverns.
Okay.
Vast Crystal Caverns is as pure asymmetrical board game as you can get. Each person is playing as a unique faction, whether it's the cave, the knight, the dragon, or the goblins, or the thief. The thief comes in a 5-player game, and each person is directly conflicting with another person in the game, except for the cave, who is conflicting with everyone. So ultimately, what I mean by that is the cave wins by building itself out and then collapsing itself in, killing everyone in the cave. Goblins need to defeat the knight, knight needs to defeat the dragon, dragon needs to defeat the goblins. It's as pure asymmetry as you can get, and it's one that I absolutely love and would probably be continuing to stay in my top 5 if it was something we could table with any sort of frequency. It is very difficult to table because you do need 4 people, and they need to understand how their factions work. I think this game would benefit hugely from a digital implementation, but Vast Crystal Caverns is one. Anytime it hits the table, I'm having an absolute blast. Yeah,
this was a little bit lower on my list, although like this has been in both of our top 10s in the past. In my top 5, I think last year it was number 6. It was my number 6 last year, but like, man, this game, it's so good. I wish more people would play it.
Agreed.
Okay, my number 9 favorite game of all time is another one that just lives in my top 10. And luckily we were able to get it to the table this past year because it had been quite a while since we had tabled it, and that is Mansions of Madness. I don't know what to say. This has been one of my favorite games since we got into the hobby. It is a Cthulhu, Lovecraftian masterpiece with an app, which I know bothers some people, but I love an app game because it gives you like the mood, and like it has the music and the reading, and it makes it a little creepy. It is a cooperative experience where you are thrown into a scenario. You are given some kind of an objective that you need to complete in order to defeat the scenario, and then you go through that by doing like investigating things, fighting different types of monsters and cultists, and working together. And if somebody on your team potentially goes a little bit too insane, and then their end game objective is suddenly different, and you're like, can I trust this person? Probably not. Even if you can, you might not be able to. And I don't know what it is. I love it. And now that we got it back to the table, want to play it more. And I want to get more of the expansions because we only have one, Sanctum of Twilight. But there's something very special about this game to me. And I'm pretty sure it's been, was it not in my top 10 last year? It must have fallen last year.
We didn't play it in a while.
That's crazy to me. But anyways, yeah, I love this game.
Yeah, I also love Mansions of Madness. Again, mentioned it in a prior video. I do think at this point we need to get some more of the expansions because we've kind of played what we have. Yeah. But Mansions of Madness is one that I think will continue to be around because it is got a piece of nostalgia because it was one of our first like really fully immersive games that we played.
Definitely.
And we love the theme.
Yep.
My number 8 is a 2-player only game. One game a game that Jamie has not played. I have played it in person and on the app digital implementation, and that is Twilight Struggle.
Yes.
This is Twilight Struggle is a 2-player card-driven game where one person is playing as the Soviet Union, one person is playing as America, and it's based around the Cold War. You are essentially trying to influence and overtake different countries and world powers, and you're doing that through, again, unique card play. Those cards can be played as action points, or they can be played as their event. Some cards, if played as an event, will be gone from the game. It's played through multiple rounds. There's multiple paths to victory. You can win by boosting up the space race track. You can win by, basically influence on the board. You can both lose by reaching a certain DEFCON threshold. It's just a really, really awesome and strategic two-player game that I absolutely adore, and I do want to show to Jamie at some point. Not sure how she'll feel about it, but I'm looking forward to trying it with her.
Timer. And time. Good job, Jeff. For anybody that doesn't know, we do use a minute timer when we do this, so if you hear an alarm go off, that's why. Yeah, I really, really do want to try this game. I think like event-based card games really work well for us for whatever reason. Like, we seem to really enjoy them. So I know, even though the theme is something that I'm like, whatever, I think I would like this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, my number 8, I believe, was already on Jeff's list. I don't remember now, but it's Kanban EV. Not yet? Not at all?
Don't know.
Okay, so Kanban EV is a Lacerda game, which means it's a meaty one. It's a heavy, big board game where you are working in a car factory, and this game makes my brain so happy because literally everything that you do in this game, it just makes sense. It's like, well, you got to build the car. Then you have to like paint the car, and then you have to like test the car, and then you have to do this with the car. Like, everything that you do just makes sense. And so we now often compare other games to Kanban. We're like, it's a very Kanban game because it makes sense. What you do makes sense. There is a manager that's kind of going down this little like step-by-step track who's going to be like marking you on your skill set, and you're also gaining skills, and you're having company meetings, trying to impress people. And we do have the metal cars, which shout out to one of our Discord members who gifted those to us because they make all the difference. I think.
They are nice.
I think. Anyways, I love Kanban. I love a game that just makes sense. Like, I'm big into that. Apparently, I'm realizing about myself. And yeah, this one is a huge for me. It's the only Lacerda that we've played, and I'm excited to try more.
I will not say anything about Kanban because my number 7 favorite game of all time is Kanban EV.
Say what?
Everything Jamie just said, I'm not going to go on about it because there's no point. But basically, I love Kanban for what Jamie was alluding to, which the metal cars. I term as the procedural nature of how this game works. Everything has a process. Everything has and flows in a very systematic way, and it just, all of your actions make sense in the flow of the game and what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I've also identified that as something I enjoy in games. I don't want to say it's like on rails or anything, or that it's like a factory or whatever, but I guess thematically it is.
Yeah.
But it's just very linear so that your brain understands how things work. This game has so much going for it. It's just one of the best gaming experiences I think you can get. It is harder on the spectrum of learning. Yeah. But I don't think it's as bad as people perceive it is. Based on the fact that it's a Lacerda.
I would agree with that. Oh, so that was your number 7. So now on to my number 7, which Jeff has already talked about. My number 7 is Stardew Valley, the board game. I
was wondering where that was going to land.
Listen, this game, in my opinion, probably impossible to win. Or at least we're too dumb to do it, apparently. But Stardew Valley, the board game, is based off of the very popular video game, and it is themed and works mechanically very similar to the video game, where you are trying to achieve Grandpa's goals, and you're trying to rebuild the community center by doing all sorts of things. Fishing and mining and gathering, like foraging, and building relationships with people, and turning in those things to the community center. But it is very challenging to do because you're going to have all these certain goals that you also need to achieve. And I don't know if it's just really challenging at a 2-player count. We haven't played it at anything other than 2. So I do wonder if we played it like a higher player count, if it might be a little bit easier to do. But honestly, I don't even care because the experience of it all is just so enjoyable. And it is a bit of a beast to set up. There's so many little bits and pieces, but like it's cozy still. It's comforting. There's something about Stardew Valley that just makes you feel good, you know? And that is why it's on my list. And I will play this literally anytime. Anytime anybody wants to play it. We should play this with Nick when he visits.
We could, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Stardew Valley was in my top 50. I love the IP. This game is incredible, and I think if we played it more, it probably would be increased.
100%.
I understand this game is not going to be for everyone, but it sings for us.
It's for us.
Yeah. My number 6 is my highest Uwe on the list. Jamie absolutely adores this game.
Love it.
And that is Agricola. Agricola is Uwe's masterpiece, in my opinion. It is a very mean, punishing worker placement farming game where ultimately you are trying to build up your farm, and you're doing that by putting out livestock, by putting out pastures, by putting out farmland that you can then plant crops. The end goal is basically at the end of each round, you need to feed your family. And if you can't feed your family, you're going to have to take beggar tokens, which are really bad, and they score you negative points. This is a very, very difficult management game where if you don't take optimal turns, you can cascade into a very bad time very quickly. I do think Agricola is definitely one that benefits from multiple plays as you learn what the action selection places can do, what the card abilities can do. But this is one that every time I play it, it's a different puzzle, and it's a puzzle that makes you feel so good when you figure out you actually get a decent score. I understand a lot of people like maybe don't like Agricola because you don't like score crazily. Like, you know, you're not going to score 100 points and that sort of thing. And Caverna is obviously much less punishing. But Agricola, I actually love the meanness of that and figuring that puzzle out. It's so good.
Yeah. It's just, it's been forever since I played it. I just remember, like, there's something about the mechanic of having to feed your family that I just think is dumb. I just don't want to do it. Like, I hate it so much.
It's fair.
But I do think that we're going to have an Uwe dedicated month this year where we are going to play all of the Uwe games that we have, and then we'll rank them, which means I'll be playing Agricola again this year.
I think, here's what I would say. I think you need to not just play Agricola one time during that month and then rate it. Like, I need to play with you a few times so you can get over the hurdle of, like, I don't want to say not understanding, but the hurdle of, like, optimization.
Yeah, I think
because
that's fair.
It can be frustrating.
Okay, my number 6 favorite board game of all time is a classic called Castles of Burgundy. The Castles of Burgundy. New, obviously. My God, like we have the new version, the Awakened Realms collab that is beautiful and is like 3D. We didn't get all of it, but we got like some of the 3D stuff. It's really pretty. So in the Castles of Burgundy, you are essentially building out a duchy, and there's dice that you're going to be rolling that are going to give you numbers, and then there's a board that you're going to be selecting tiles from based on the numbers that you have rolled, and then you're going to be putting them into your duchy, and then you're going to be like placing them out based on the numbers. Everything's related to the die rolls, basically. It's like tile placement with dice manipulation, like all of this stuff. And it's just, I don't know what it is about it, but I think that the design is amazing. Like, this game is just smooth to me, and I never don't have a good time when I'm playing this game. I play it on BGA all the time. We've played it in person a lot of times. The only issue with playing it in person is, once again, it's just a lot to set up. Like, there's a lot of tiles, now there's a lot of 3D castles and stuff that we have, but I never don't enjoy my time playing Castles of Burgundy, and I just think this is an evergreen. It is going to stay in my top 10 probably for a very long time. It has lived here for a little while now, and I love it. I I just love it.
Yeah, Castles of Burgundy is like as perfect of a game design I think that you can get, because the theme could be anything, and I think it would be around this number.
It just works so well.
It does.
Before Jeff gets into his number 5, we want to do a shout out to one of our channel sponsors today, and that is MunchPak. Jeff, for anybody that's heard us talk about MunchPak before, this is it here. It is snacks delivered from all around the world. Look at that. This is the family box. We do have a coupon code for it in our description, but every month you get a box of snacks curated by the MunchPak team from literally all over the world, and it's always a surprise of what you get. There's sweet snacks, there's savory snacks, and if you want to get a little crazy with it, you can even do an add-on with a soda.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, and so we are going to be doing some taste testing of these snacks, and well, we've done some taste testing in the wrap-up that we've already had, which is filming in the future, but you see it in the past. TV magic, movie magic. Anyways, shout out to MunchPak. All of the information's in our description. We do have a $10 off coupon, Foster the Meeple, for your subscription if you would like to try it out.
My number 5 has already been on Jamie's list. It is a GMT game, and it is Dominant Species.
Oh, heck yeah.
Dominant Species is a, again, procedural game where you are making action selections, and then you are going to go through those action selections from top to bottom, again, where the procedure comes in, and ultimately you might place a action selection piece at the bottom, but maybe someone places something up higher, and that's going to interact. But the theme of this game is you are a species, and you are trying to evolve, take over geographies, and survive, basically. And you can do that through DNA manipulation and all of these really cool, unique things. All species has a unique asymmetrical ability. And the board is the world and a bunch of terrain types, and ultimately what's going to happen is there are going to be event cards that are going to come up, and maybe there's an ice age, and that ice shelf is going to expand. So you need to move and migrate and adapt. It is absolutely sings. It is one of the best games I've ever played, and every time I play it, I get just so giddy about how perfect of a game this is. We have played Marine. Yep. But this is the preferred option for us. Dominant Species is one that's always going to be around here. Yeah,
it just missed my top 10. It was my number 11. I love it. Even though, like, you think GMT games and you think beige, not this one. All little cubes and cones are very colorful.
They are very colorful, yeah.
It's really great. It's a very Kanban-y game. Everything makes sense. This is another one that I feel like so many people are intimidated by, and I understand that for a lot of GMT games, but not for this one. I think it just makes sense.
The rule book is really good, yeah.
My number 5 game of all time is going to make our friends in the Discord very happy.
I know what it is.
And it makes me very happy, and that is Too Many Bones.
I knew it was going to be up here.
Listen, Too Many Bones, I think, is a new to us game this year.
Yep.
And we've gotten into it, and we have just played it, and we played it, and we played it, and it is just, I just freaking love it. It is a dice chucker where you are playing out as a gearlock. You are trying to defeat different tyrants, or a variety of tyrants, or a variety of gearlocks that all work in asymmetrical ways. So like each of them have their own die, but then they have a whole sheet that tells you like, this is how this gearlock works, and here's a little strategy for how this one works, and they all work different. It is complicated a little bit. We've messed this game up a lot, all the time, and then we just kind of learn from our mistakes, and we get better and better and better. But like, I don't know, I love a game that has a challenge. I love a game where I rarely win, and this is perfect because you like never win. Too Many Bones. I don't know what it is. I'm excited to try it more and more and more. We're going to be playing a ton of it this year. We're going to be doing Too Many Tuesdays starting soon, which is going to be, I think we said like every other Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're going to be streaming Too Many Bones, trying out all the different characters, and we are going to rank them at the end of the year. Because we have like all of the gearlocks now. Anyways, Too Many Bones, it's amazing. I understand the hype for it. I understand the love for it. It's just fun. Yeah. It's just fun. It's frustrating sometimes. It's challenging for sure, but it's just freaking fun.
Yeah, I think Too Many Bones is, I mean, it was my number 11. and it'll probably increase as we play it more. I think the problem with Too Many Bones is just that hurdle of entry. It is one that you just need to fail at and fail at and fail at. Ask some questions to the community, which is very supportive.
If you're new to Too Many Bones and you have questions, you should join our Discord.
Yeah.
We have an entire channel dedicated to Too Many Bones, and the Cult of the Bones is in there, and they are there to help.
Yeah.
They know the things better than we know the things. That's for sure.
Definitely. My number 4 is a game that I think is probably going to continue to decrease a little bit as we go. Just because I feel like I've played it a few times and we only played it 2, and I feel like we need to play it at a higher player count
I don't know
to really make it sing, and that is Brass Birmingham.
Yeah, this fell off of my top list this year.
Brass Birmingham is a game that I think is almost also perfect. The problem, I'm going right into problems here. The problem is we primarily play this at 2-player, and I just don't think that's the primary player count. It's great at 2, but I think would really benefit from some 3 and 4-player plays. But Brass Birmingham is a Euro-y production game where you have your own player board, and your player board has a bunch of different like production pieces on it, whether it's iron, coal production, beer production. There's like crates you can put out, which I can't remember what they represent. There's like clay pots you can put out, which again, I can't remember what, but ultimately what you're trying to do is get all of these things put out on your board to enhance your production of factories, and you're going to score victory points. And there's location cards that you're required to play out in order to place production tiles in those areas. You have to link them all via canals or rails. It's a very dark, like, I don't know, dark themed, visually dark, like, old-timey England type theme that I really enjoy, and it's such a unique puzzle. Just one I think I need to play at some higher player counts.
Yeah, this was my number 21 last year, and it did fall off my top 50 this year just because we don't play it enough. And this is one of those games that, like, every time, like, if you haven't played it for a while, you get it back to the table, you have to completely relearn the whole game. And, like, it's not Kanban-y, in my opinion. Like, there are just some things that I'm like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
What? Oh, right, I forgot to do this. And we recently got this to the table again, and in comparison to my previous play, it wasn't as good.
Yeah,
for me.
we fumbled through a recent play, just been too long.
I just felt like I got behind and I couldn't catch up, and I was just like, but I ended up not winning, but I ended up catching up near the end. Yeah, I think we was only
it's one of those games that, like, you really don't know to the end who's going to pull that one out. You could be so far behind and boost up that so quickly.
Okay, my number 4 favorite game of all time is Marvel Champions. I just love it. It's so good. Like, I rediscovered my love for Marvel Champions this year because I randomly just was like, I'm gonna pull it out again, because it had probably been like a year since I played it, and I pulled it out again and I played it and I was like, I love this game. And then I went out and I bought so much more stuff for it. And then Zach came over, and then Zach and I played again. And then I played solo a couple more times. And then I primarily play this solo, just so everybody knows. Jeff hasn't been a huge fan of it in the past, but
I think it's fine.
But I love it. Anyways, and then I just stopped playing it, and I don't know why. Now I have all this new stuff, and I need to get it back to the table. But the point of the matter is, it's a living card game. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's a living card game. It's based in the Marvel world where you've got a baddie that you're going up against, a villain, and you play as a hero, and you are scheming, and you're fighting, and you're trying to just defeat them really before they defeat you. This is another game that is challenging, very challenging to win, but I just love it. I love Marvel big time, and I don't know, I just love this game so much. I think it's one of the best solo games. I really do.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I've never played this solo. I've only played it cooperative, and I've only played as Iron Man.
That's funny.
I do enjoy Marvel Champions. I did actually recently just mention to Jamie that I would like to play it again.
I'll play it anytime.
It's been a very long time. I just find I get like confused of what the optimal moves are, and it makes me feel a bit dumb, and that's a kind of a trigger for me.
Right.
I don't know. It's just one All right, we're getting into the top 3 here. and I just want to caveat this. So this is my number 3 favorite game of all time. I do not know if these 3 will get knocked out of the top 3 for a while.
I don't even know. I for sure know what one of them is.
My number 3 favorite board game of all time
it's gotta be
is
Con Mon.
new.
Oh, just kidding. You already talked about that.
New to us this year, and that is Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, that makes sense to me.
Star Wars Rebellion is Star Wars in a board game.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to put it. One person is playing as the Rebel Alliance, one person is playing as the Empire, and they have different objectives that they need to complete. The Empire needs to find the Rebel base and destroy it. The Rebels need to basically survive long enough and keep hiding the Rebel base until the timer decreases. You're doing that through board states and fighting and primarily card play. It is incredibly thematic to Star Wars. They did such a unique and awesome job at making sure you feel like the story is integrated into the game. For example, in the game, you can capture Princess Leia, and then you can interrogate her, and it is very, very detrimental to the Rebel Alliance, and I can tell you that because that's what happened to me. It is, if you love Star Wars, it is a game you have to play.
Yeah.
Because it is basically the movie in a board game form, and we avoided playing this for a very long time because we thought it was super difficult to play. It isn't. Get it out, learn it, play it, and you will benefit from it. It's incredible.
So good. It didn't make my top 50, but with more plays, I think that it definitely will. But yeah, we played it, and I am not, like, I like Star Wars. I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. I like Star Wars. I like it. Not as much as Jeffy does, but I still was, like, fully into this game. And I think it's because, like, it's based off of the movies that I know. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the new movies very well, which some of the other board games are based off of. But this one I was into. My number 3 favorite game of all time is one that Jeff has already talked about. And that is Wonderland's War. Oh, boy, do I love this game. I don't know, like, first of all, I love Alice in Wonderland. Pretty much anything Alice in Wonderland themed, I'm going to be interested in at the very least. But I like everything about this game. I love bag building. I love fighting. I love, like, the area control piece. So essentially in this game, you are in Wonderland and everybody is acting as a different Wonderland character, whether it's Alice or the Queen of Hearts or the Jabberwock or the Cheshire Cat, who I often play. You are acting as them and you are essentially trying to take control of different regions of Wonderland. You are doing this by fighting each other, which you are doing by going around like a little tea table to collect different chips to put into your bag. And the chips are a variety of different things. Some of them can be basic, some of them can be different Wonderland characters that you can play, like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and like all of these different characters that you then also get to put out on the map to help you. And then guess what? Time to fight. Perfect. You're getting into your bag, you're pulling out a chip, you go, boom. You just keep going until you bust, because you can bust and you can get like these shards of madness. And this game, to me, I love. It's so bright, it's so colorful. Another one that is just such a slog to set up and tear down, but honestly, whatever. It's amazing.
Yeah, that game would be awesome if you could just leave it set up somewhere and just go back to it all the time, because that is the biggest hurdle. I also love Wonderland's War. It is one of the best produced games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is absolutely beautiful. And the gameplay reflects that. The gameplay is incredible. I do think it's probably one that's, I mean, it was my number 20. It's probably going to increase as we play it more.
I think the biggest problem is that, like, it's not a 2-player game. Like, you can play it at 2, but I wouldn't. Like, a minimum 4, I think, is the best. Because if you have, like, 4 people or 3 people, whatever, more people, you also get to bet on who you think is going to win different battles. It's just, like, a way that you can kind of stick your hand in the pot. But if, like, it's a 2-player game, you're not. All
right. My number 2, I think at some point is possibly going to be my number 1.
I don't know what this is going to be.
My number 2 is another GMT game, and that is Cuba Libre.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Cuba Libre is themed around the Cuban Revolution with the July 26th, which was basically Fidel Castro's little faction. He's trying to overthrow the Cuban government. There is the Syndicate, which is basically the Cuban mob that are setting up all of these casinos. It is a asymmetrical war game where each person has their own unique abilities, their own unique end game condition that they need to meet, and it's this really intricate web and flow, tug and pull of all of these factions vying for control. There's a ton of table talk around the board because you almost need people to help you get to your win condition, but if you help them too much, then they're going to win the game, so then you need to pull back on them. It is such an awesome, unique experience. It's one we've only played asynchronously, and I would love to get this around on a table with 4 people and play it, because it is an incredibly crafted card-driven game that absolutely sings at 4-player.
Yeah, it was definitely higher up on my list, and I am just itching to get this to the table to play it physically. This is just another one of those games where I'm like, I would never expect me to enjoy this, but it is just so good. I like to play as the Directorio, the students, because that's the faction that I know the best. And so my enjoyment of the game is definitely dependent on which faction I play personally. But yeah, it's so good, and you can't trust anyone, even though you need to trust people because you need their help. And it's just like,
it will challenge friendships.
Definitely. My number 2 favorite game of all time is Obsession. Do you like fancy parties in England? I know I do. I love Obsession. This is a game where you take on the role of a house, a Victorian house in England, and all of the different houses have slightly asymmetrical like starting abilities, but that's really the only thing that they do. In this game, you are trying to gain reputation, to gain money, so that you can grow your estate by purchasing tiles that help you to kind of grow out your estate so that you can become more established and more intriguing to the Fairchilds. The Fairchilds are the fanciest family in the land, and you want to marry one of them. Okay, so this is going to be going over a series of rounds, and there's certain rounds that like different things will happen. Like there might be a market or a festival or something that allows you to engage with the Fairchilds. That's a card that you can put into your hand. It's also a bit of a deck builder because you are inviting different guests to your estate, and those guests are going to allow you to do different things. Some of them are going to even give you negative points, those silly Americans, always gossiping, which is just a part of the game that I love. This game is very cheeky. Like like if you actually take time to read the cards, they're really funny, and like the flavor text is great. The gameplay is awesome. Once again, another game I play all the time on BGA. Like I'm almost never not in a game of Obsession. I'm always down to play. And we recently got this to the table again, like physically, and it's so good. It's so good. I want everything that has to do with this game. I love it. I really love this game so much.
I also love Obsession. It was on my list. What I will say about Obsession is like it is such a awesome game regardless of player count. Like it works incredible at 2, 3, and 4. And it really is just such an enjoyable experience. Every single time you play it, it's different. There's different rooms that come up. There's different goals. There's different people. There's different prestigious guests.
I freaking love it. I think it's amazing.
My number 1 favorite game of all time, if you've watched our channel and watched these lists in the past, should come as no surprise. That is from Later Games, and that is Root. Root is by far my most played game of all time. I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games of Root at this point via the digital app. Root is a asymmetrical war game loosely based around the coin system, where each person is playing as a woodland faction trying to take control of the woodland map through unique card play, through unique ability play, and interacting with all the different factions. It is a perfect amalgamation of what asymmetry can be, in my opinion, and it's taken some of the core mechanisms of those war games that I love and brought it to a fun-looking, very cute, very beautiful themed woodland creature game. It has so many factions now, and I haven't even explored all of the newest stuff. It just is one that I continue to love, and I will play it anytime someone wants to. It's one that also just benefits from continued play, and as you learn all of those new factions and all of how those all play and interact, it really starts to shine. And it is definitely one that will challenge friendships. And there's a ton of table talk. It's just an incredible table experience, and one that I can't see being knocked off of my number one for a while. Maybe Cuba, I don't know, but it's going to take a lot.
Yeah, I love Root. I think it was my number 31 or something like that, but I don't play it as much as Jeff, because I think for me, I say it all the time, but I get into the app and then I forget it's my turn, and then I get booted out of the game, and everyone's like, don't invite Jamie to Root games because she never takes her turn.
Which is valid.
Which is valid and true, but I really enjoy this game, like the physical experience. But you have to have 4 players. It's best if you have 4 players that kind of know what they're doing, or at least all on the same level, because like us playing, so like Jeff's level is like here. My level is like here. Well, I know a couple factions, and then new players are going to be down here. And so it's just like if you're all, and so Jeff, if we're playing with people that don't know, or even playing with me, it's almost like he has to dumb down his game a little bit.
Yeah. I think that is a very good point to make about Root.
Yeah.
I would suggest, because I get asked all the time about this game, I would say you want to play it with equal skill set.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is not of an equal skill set, make sure they are there to teach and not to route
people.
you, because you will not. And if you are teaching this game, and you will know this game really well, I implore you, teach this game properly and dumb your game down so that other people will experience this game and enjoy it for what it is. Yeah, because if you just run rampant over them, it will not be fun.
My favorite game of all time has to come now with a caveat.
It does now have to come with a caveat.
Which it never had to before. So this is new number 1. It was my number 2 last year. And that is Final Girl. It comes with a caveat because I now, as of October, have started working for Van Ryder Games. But if you have been watching our channel for a long time, if you've known me at all, you know how much I love this game. And then all that means is that me working for Van Ryder within Final Girl is just like a freaking dream come true for me, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody take that and think about it however you want. Final Girl is a solo-only horror-based board game where you take on the role of a final girl, where your objective is to kill the killer before they kill you. This involves dice rolling, it involves like hand management, action card play, and just a lot of variation and challenge. So there are currently 2 series out, Series 1 and Series 2, with 10 characters, plus you also have a special feature film with Krampus, and all of the killers and the final girls and the locations are all mix and match, so every game can be totally different, and regardless, every game is going to be totally different based on the cards that come up, based on the items that come up, based on how you roll. It is very challenging to win. Like you're just it's not gonna happen a lot, but what that means is when you do win, it feels so freaking good. This game does have a bit of a cult vibe around it, just like Too Many Bones does. But it's because it is so immersive, and like when you play it, you feel like you are playing that horror movie. And when something bad happens, you're like, of course that would happen, because that's what would happen in a horror movie. Of course the killer has killed everybody plus me. And I don't know. I love this game. I think there's something really special about it. And I just never want to stop playing it. It is one of my most played games. I love it.
I've only played Final Girl once, and I got absolutely smoked.
You got destroyed.
It's just so quickly I died.
Yeah, it was really
However,
bad.
I want to caveat this, and I've never actually mentioned this to Jamie. That's a game that I've always thought about since.
Mm-hmm.
It's been in my brain about, and I'm just constantly like, I want to go back to that because I feel like I want to try it again, which is and I will mention, like, I have nothing to do with Van Ryder.
Yeah.
that is a unique thing for me, because normally solo games, I just don't, there's like one or two that I enjoy, but I definitely don't think about them like I do Final Girl. There was something unique about that puzzle that I was like, oh, this is something I want to return to. I haven't since, but it is super punishing. But it is incredibly well produced. It's very thematic, and one I definitely want to explore a little bit more. Not to Jamie's degree, but
yeah, I just think it's really funny because Jeff's experience was literally everything was worst possible scenario. Everything that could have gone bad did. We do have a Final Girl channel in our Discord as well. I sent the pictures of what his gameplay was, and everybody was like, "Good God!" Like, how is that even possible? But that's just how the game goes sometimes.
But I think it's interesting because I had that experience and I was very frustrated. I was like, this is not enjoyable.
He's like, you find this fun?
I can't do anything. But after I played it, I was like, oh, I'd go back to that. And I think that is a true testament to a good game. Like, I could have that bad of an experience and still be like, I don't want to do that again.
Yep. And that's Final Girl. And I love it. So that, my friends, another year down. Those are our top 10 favorite games of all time. Just another shout out to our channel sponsors, Raskellers. Shout out to them for gifting us with this absolutely stunning table, these beautiful shelves, and a sweet neon light. And who doesn't like neon lights? I know I do. I personally love them. But that is everything that we have for you today. Please leave down in the comments, like, what are your top 10 games? We would love to know. Love seeing the lists that are popping up in there. If you're interested in buying board games, like any of the absolutely amazing best games of all time that we objectively that we talked about today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
Heck yeah! Do you like snacks?
I do.
Perfect. Where do people get snacks?
MunchPak.
MunchPak. Snacks delivered from around the world. We have a $10 off coupon. It's in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
There it is. Pisses me off.
Why?
You're wrong. Anyway, I
Where's
love you.
Baby Yoda
I love you, but you're wrong.
I love you, but you're wrong.
It's a great pick.
Gee, I wonder what Jeff's number one is.
I wonder what both our number ones are, because it seems pretty obvious what they both are.